As time passes, what becomes most important is how the situation is handled with responsibility, patience, and clear communication rather than fear or assumptions. Early pregnancy, especially when unexpected, can create a wide range of emotions that shift from confusion to reflection and eventually toward more grounded decision-making. People involved often need space to think carefully about their next steps, including health, emotional support, and honest conversations with those who may be affected. While the mind may initially try to fill in gaps with speculation or imagined scenarios, clarity only comes through calm discussion and verified understanding of what is actually happening. In moments like this, support systems matter, whether that comes from trusted individuals, medical guidance, or professionals who can provide accurate information without judgment. It is also important to avoid letting uncertainty turn into assumptions about intent or blame, because those only increase emotional strain and make communication harder. Instead, approaching the situation with steadiness allows everyone involved to engage more constructively, even if the circumstances are complex or unexpected. Over time, what feels overwhelming at first often becomes something that can be understood and managed step by step. The priority is not to rush toward conclusions, but to create a foundation where truth, care, and responsibility guide the path forward in a way that respects everyone's well-being. Her mind was spinning, and when the second line appeared, her whole world went still, not from joy, but from shock, fear, guilt. She whispered to herself, "No, not me, not now." And in that moment, every angel turned their face away in sorrow, because she wasn't ready to see this as a blessing. She saw it as a punishment. You see, my child, sometimes the soul runs from what was meant to save it. Sometimes a divine gift is mistaken for a curse because the heart is clouded by shame. But shame never comes from God. It is born from darkness, from the whispers of the fallen ones who want her to destroy what heaven created. That's why, 3 days later, she went to see a doctor, not out of excitement, not out of love, but out of desperation. And when she sat across from that doctor, her eyes hollow, her voice trembling, she said words that shook even the angels. She said, "I don't want to keep it." And though her voice was soft, the heavens roared in silence. The walls of that room held their breath, because in that single moment, a choice stood between life and death. But God, who sees beyond what eyes can see, whispered into her heart, "Child, do not do this." She heard it, faintly, a voice like the wind brushing against her ear, yet she tried to silence it. She tried to tell herself it was nothing, but that voice wasn't nothing. It was me, your father, calling her back from the edge. It was Archangel Michael, standing beside her, his sword glowing with divine light, ready to guard the innocent heartbeat within her. But her fear was louder than her faith, and so she left the clinic, her eyes empty, her soul trembling. Now listen carefully, my child. The reason she's afraid isn't what you think. It isn't poverty. It isn't pain. It isn't even about health. It's about truth, the truth of whose child she carries, because this child was never meant to be conceived in darkness, yet here it is, a living witness to a moment of betrayal. But I tell you this, my child, even from the darkest soil, I can bring forth flowers. Even from sin, I can write redemption. What is impossible for man is never impossible for God. The enemy wants her to believe that this child is her curse, but in my eyes, that child is her chance to return to the light. And you, my child, you stand close to her. You may not realize it yet, but your presence in her life is no coincidence. You were placed near her to witness, to feel, to intercede, because while she hides her tears, heaven watches her every move. Her footsteps are heavy with guilt, but angels still walk beside her. Every night she cries silently into her pillow, begging for a way out, and every night Archangel Michael covers her with his wings, whispering, "Do not end what heaven has begun." Yet the voice of temptation keeps calling her back, the voice of fear, of gossip, of the world's cruel judgment. You know, my child, people are quick to condemn what they do not understand. They will talk, they will mock, they will point, and that's what she fears most. Not the pain of childbirth, but the pain of being seen. She fears the whispers more than the wounds, and that is why she is lost in confusion. Now let me show you what happened next. That night, after she left the clinic, she walked to the park nearby. It was late, the sky dark, the wind cold. She sat on a bench, hugging her knees, trying to find courage in the silence, and as tears rolled down her cheeks, she whispered, "God, if you are real, tell me what to do." The next evening, they met at a quiet cafe tucked near the edge of town, far from crowded streets and familiar faces. She arrived carrying nervous thoughts she could barely organize, while he sat waiting with an appearance that felt almost untouched by the weight she had been living under for weeks. His clothes were neat, his expression controlled, and his calmness unsettled her more than anger would have. As she sat across from him, silence stretched between them long enough to make her hands shake around the cup in front of her. She searched his face for warmth, concern, or even uncertainty, but found only distance. Finally, gathering what little courage she had left, she spoke the truth she had been carrying alone. "I'm pregnant." The words hung in the air heavily, impossible to pull back once spoken. For a brief second, his eyes shifted, but whatever emotion appeared disappeared just as quickly. He leaned forward slightly, lowered his voice, and responded with a coldness that made the room suddenly feel smaller. Instead of asking how she felt or what she needed, he spoke as though the situation were an inconvenience to erase rather than a life-changing reality they both had to face. In that moment, she realized how differently two people could carry the same responsibility. While she had spent sleepless nights overwhelmed by fear, guilt, and uncertainty, he had found a way to emotionally distance himself from it all, and though his words wounded her deeply, something inside her also began to awaken. The fragile fear that had controlled her for so long started making room for clarity, because difficult moments have a way of revealing the truth about people, stripping away appearances until intentions stand exposed. And sitting there across from him, she slowly understood that her next decision would shape far more than her future. It would shape the kind of strength she chose to become. No one must ever know. She froze. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. He pushed a small envelope toward her. Inside was money, blood money. She looked at it, and tears filled her eyes. She realized that the one she thought would stand with her had chosen to hide behind his fear, and in that instant, something inside her broke. "My child," that's the moment heaven moved, because when humans turn their backs, God steps forward. An unseen light began to stir within her, faint but growing, the light of conscience, the light of hope. She left the cafe without touching the money, and as she walked under the moonlight, she whispered, "God, help me." And the heavens heard her again. Archangel Michael descended beside her, unseen but powerful. His voice echoed softly in her spirit, "The world will judge you, but heaven will forgive you. The world will abandon you, but we will protect you. Do not destroy what was chosen by God." And in that instant, for the first time in weeks, she felt warmth. She placed her hand on her belly and wept, but this time not from shame, from something new, from awakening, from love. "Now, my child, remember this truth. Every life has purpose, even those born from mistakes. Every breath is sacred, even if the world rejects it. God doesn't only bless perfect beginnings, He blesses those who turn toward him, even after falling. And that is what this woman is about to learn. But the path to redemption isn't easy. Temptation still whispers, voices still mock, fear still follows her like a shadow. The enemy will not give up so easily. He will try to remind her of her shame every day. But what the enemy calls shame, God calls testimony, because when her truth comes to light, it will not destroy her, it will save her. You may wonder, my child, why I'm telling you this, because this story isn't just about her, it's also about you. It's about compassion, understanding, forgiveness. You are being prepared to play a role in her awakening. When her secret comes out, the world will talk. But you must not. You must stand still, silent, guided by light. Because through your calm, she will find strength. Through your faith, she will see God again. Through your mercy, she will believe that forgiveness is real. Archangel Michael has already marked you as a guardian of peace in this matter. You will not judge, you will protect. You will not expose, you will guide. And when the time comes, you will speak not words of anger, but words of grace, because that is how heaven heals. Now take a deep breath, my child. The days ahead will reveal things that may break your heart. But remember, nothing unfolds without purpose. Every soul involved in this story is being refined by fire. And when that fire settles, something holy will remain. The child she carries will not be a symbol of shame. It will be a living proof that light can still emerge from darkness, that mercy can still bloom after sin. For where human hands sow guilt, God sows grace. And soon, the world will see it. But before that, a storm must pass. And that storm begins now. The whispers have started. Someone has seen her at the clinic. Someone is asking questions. The secret is cracking open. The truth is finding its way to light. And when it does, everything around her will shift. Hearts will break. Trust will shatter. And destiny will rearrange itself. So, stay close to God, my child. Keep your faith strong, your heart pure, and your ears open, because when the storm reaches its height, heaven will call upon you. And in that moment, Archangel Michael himself will stand beside you. His sword will not strike, it will shield. His light will not blind, it will guide. And through you, grace will flow into her life, like morning after endless night. The story isn't over yet, it's only beginning. Because while the world sees a scandal, heaven sees salvation in disguise. The days that followed carried a heavy quiet that seemed to settle into every part of her routine, as though even the air around her had changed. She moved through her responsibilities with practiced control, yet small details began to give her away in ways she could not fully manage. Conversations that once felt easy now required effort, and moments that should have felt ordinary became carefully navigated. There was a sense that something unspoken had taken root in her life, not because she had revealed it, but because stress has a way of shaping how a person is perceived over time. The weight she carried was not only about circumstance, but also about the fear of being understood too quickly or too harshly. Around her, people began to notice subtle shifts, interpreting them in their own ways, as communities often do when they sense change, but do not yet know its cause. Within her family, tension lingered beneath normal interactions, creating distance where closeness once existed. Each reflection she saw of herself became a reminder of how fragile composure can feel when life becomes complicated. Yet beneath all of this, there remained a quiet human struggle for stability, for dignity, and for the possibility of repair. She was not defined by a single moment or assumption, but by the complexity of navigating something she was still trying to understand herself. In time, what felt like exposure might also become clarity, and what felt like collapse might eventually become the beginning of rebuilding. For now, she simply continued forward, one uncertain day at a time. Even when uncertainty pressed in, she found herself searching for small anchors, routine tasks, brief moments of solitude, and the hope that time would eventually soften what felt unbearable. What she could not control externally, she tried to steady internally, learning slowly that resilience is not the absence of fear, but the decision to keep moving despite it. She saw guilt staring back at her, and yet, despite that guilt, life inside her continued to grow. Heaven refused to let darkness win. The heartbeat within her was still strong, like a drum of destiny, echoing with the sound of hope. My child, heaven watches every heartbeat. Angels count every tear. Archangel Michael stands guard over every soul that still has a chance to turn back to light. That night, when she finally broke down, she fell on her knees in her room. God, she whispered, I don't deserve forgiveness. I've broken trust. I've broken hearts. I've broken myself. And heaven listened. The room grew still. The air thickened with presence, and though she couldn't see it, a light filled the space around her. Archangel Michael stood beside her, his wings wide, his voice calm but powerful. Daughter, he said softly, you have fallen, but not beyond grace. What you carry is not a curse, it's the sign that God still trusts you to choose life over fear. You can still be redeemed, but you must face truth, no matter how painful. Her body trembled, tears streamed down her cheeks. But I can't, she whispered. They'll hate me. My sister, she'll never forgive me. And the archangel answered, it is not her forgiveness that saves you, it is God's. Tell the truth. Let light expose what darkness has hidden, for what is hidden will one day speak. The next morning, she woke with a strange calm. She looked at the sunlight filtering through her window, and for the first time in months, she whispered, thank you. That small prayer opened a door in heaven, because every time a lost soul says, thank you, instead of, why me, heaven rejoices. But she still had to face the storm. That day, her sister came to visit. The house was filled with the smell of tea and the sound of small talk, but under the surface, a quiet tension grew. Her sister noticed her pale face, her tired eyes, and said gently, you haven't been yourself. Is something wrong? Her hands froze around the cup. Her throat tightened. For a moment, she wanted to lie again, to smile and say, I'm fine. But that voice, the one from the night before, whispered again in her heart, tell the truth. And so, trembling, she set down the cup and said, I have to tell you something. The room fell silent. Time seemed to stop. Her sister leaned closer, worry clouding her face. What is it? Her lips quivered, her eyes filled with tears, and then she spoke the words that shattered the fragile peace between them. I'm pregnant. Her sister blinked, stunned. For a second, her eyes softened with concern, but then came the words that would rip open everything. It's your husband's child. The silence that followed was unbearable. It wasn't just the absence of sound, it was the sound of a soul breaking. The days that followed felt painfully quiet, as though the entire house had lost its ability to breathe. Her sister left without saying much more, carrying her broken trust like a wound she did not know how to heal. The pregnant woman remained behind, surrounded by silence and memories that now felt unbearable to revisit. Every room reminded her of what had been lost. Sleep became difficult, meals went untouched. Shame settled over her life like a shadow she could not escape. Outside the home, whispers began spreading quickly through the neighborhood. People who once greeted her warmly now avoided eye contact. Conversations stopped when she walked nearby. The judgment was subtle at times, cruel at others, but impossible to ignore. Yet beneath all the gossip and condemnation was something far more painful. The loneliness of realizing that one mistake can alter how the world looks at you overnight. Still, regret has a way of forcing people to confront themselves honestly. Alone with her thoughts, she began to understand that harm rarely affects only one person. Choices travel outward, touching families, friendships, trust, and even the parts of ourselves we once believed were good. That realization broke her repeatedly, but it also awakened something deeper within her: accountability. Not the kind spoken for appearances, but the quiet kind that happens when no one is watching and there is nowhere left to hide from the truth. Healing did not arrive quickly. Forgiveness did not suddenly erase the pain. Some wounds needed time, distance, and honest reflection before they could even begin to close. But slowly, she realized that becoming better would require more than tears. It would require patience, humility, and the courage to accept responsibility without allowing shame to completely destroy her sense of worth. She became a symbol of shame. But God was not done with her story, because even in her isolation, heaven kept working. Her suffering became her teacher, her tears became her prayers, and slowly, something inside her began to change. Each night, she would sit near the window, looking up at the stars, and whisper, "If you can still hear me, please, don't leave me." And one night, she heard a voice reply, not in her ears, but in her soul, "I never left you, you left yourself, but I am still here." It was not imagination, it was Archangel Michael, speaking truth through the veil of her grief. From that night on, she began to live differently. She stopped hiding her face. She started walking to the temple again. She began to pray, not for acceptance, but for peace. And slowly, heaven began to move in her favor. One morning, as she lit a candle, she saw an old woman sitting outside the temple gate. The woman looked poor, weak, and forgotten. Moved by compassion, the pregnant woman gave her the last bit of food she had. The old woman smiled, her eyes bright and knowing, and said, "The moment you gave, heaven gave back. Fear not, your child is chosen." And then, she vanished. Yes, my child, she vanished, because she was no ordinary woman. She was an angel in disguise, sent to deliver a message from God. From that day onward, the woman's fear began to fade. Each time doubt whispered, she remembered those words, "Your child is chosen." Months passed. Her body grew heavy, her soul lighter. People still gossiped, but she didn't care anymore, because she finally understood something that you too must learn. My child, no one's opinion can rewrite what God has already written. Then the day came. The night was stormy, the winds fierce, but inside her house there was peace. She went into labor alone. She cried out to God, "Please, be with me." And he was. The room filled with a warmth she could not explain. The pain, though deep, came with power, and with every push, she felt her sins leaving her body. Then, a cry filled the air, the cry of a newborn child, and with that sound, heaven smiled again. The moment she held the baby in her arms, she knew she was forgiven, not because she deserved it, but because she asked for it. My child, that's the power of mercy. When God forgives, He doesn't erase your past, He transforms it. The same hands that once sinned can become hands that heal. The same mouth that once lied can become a mouth that prays. The same heart that once broke others can learn to love purely again. And you, my child, you will see this transformation with your own eyes. There comes a moment when honesty is no longer just a moral choice, but a necessary release, a way of putting down what has been carried alone for too long. If harm has been done, healing begins, not in avoidance, but in the willingness to seek peace and make things right where possible. If mistakes have been made, what defines a person is not the mistake itself, but the decision to rise again with sincerity and responsibility. There is a sense of guidance that meets those who try to move toward truth, even when fear makes the process difficult. Some describe it as faith, others as conscience, but it feels like an inner call toward wholeness that does not leave a person in their lowest moment. Even in seasons of regret, there is always a path back to clarity, not through denial, but through courage. Shame begins to lose its power the moment a person stops hiding from themselves and chooses honesty over silence. The story of the woman becomes less about one individual and more about a reflection of human experience, reminding anyone listening that what is buried will eventually ask to be faced. The real shift happens when responsibility replaces concealment, and when a person decides that growth matters more than appearance. There is also a belief that those who sincerely seek transformation are not left without guidance, often expressed through symbols like Archangel Michael, representing courage, truth, and protection in moments of inner struggle. Whether understood spiritually or symbolically, the message remains consistent. Change begins with honesty, and honesty opens the door to rebuilding. From that point forward, life is no longer defined by what was hidden, but by what is finally brought into the light and transformed with time. Her sister, after years of silence, one day returned. They met again, this time not as enemies, but as souls scarred and healed by the same God. They cried together, they forgave each other, and peace filled their hearts. My child, this is how heaven works. It doesn't erase the past, it redeems it. It doesn't punish, it purifies. And the same angels who once turned away in sorrow now sing in joy. So remember this always. You are not defined by what you've done. You are defined by what you choose next. And if that choice is love, forgiveness, and truth, heaven calls you blessed. My child, keep your heart soft. Pray for those who stumble. Love those who hurt you. And walk with the patience and silence I've taught you, because someday your own light will help another lost soul find their way home. And when that happens, Archangel Michael will stand beside you once again, whispering, "This is why you were chosen." If you feel this message in your spirit, type Amen in the comments. Share this story so that someone lost in guilt may find hope again. And never forget, even when the world turns away, God never does, because where sin once lived, grace now reigns, and where there was once shame, there now stands love. Amen. My beloved child, before you hear this final part, take a deep breath, for what unfolds now is not just a story, it is a revelation, a glimpse into the way heaven writes destiny through human pain. Years passed. The child who was once born in tears grew under the watch of divine light. He was no ordinary boy. From the day he spoke his first word, the wind seemed to pause. When he laughed, sick trees outside their home began to bloom again. And when he prayed, "Oh, my child," heaven itself listened. He didn't know where he came from. His mother told him, "You are a miracle, my son. You came to teach me how to live again." And truly, that's what he did. While others mocked him, calling him the son of shame, he never reacted. He looked at them with calm eyes, and instead of anger, he said, "One day, you'll understand." No one understood what that meant, not yet. But heaven did, because this child, born from a mistake, carried within him the seed of redemption. He grew with kindness. When people insulted his mother, he would wipe her tears and say, "Don't cry, Mama. The angels told me that what people break, God can heal." Every time he spoke, a strange stillness filled the air, as though unseen wings hovered above them. One day, when he turned 7, something happened that shook the entire village. It was dawn, and the child was playing by the river. Suddenly, the water began to move against the current. The birds grew silent, The light around him brightened, not like sunlight, but like gold flowing from the heavens. He heard a voice call his name, not from the sky, but from within his spirit. Michael knelt so the boy no longer had to look up to understand he was being seen, not judged. The weight of the moment softened as the archangel's gaze remained steady, patient in a way the world rarely was. Elie swallowed hard, searching for something familiar in everything unfamiliar, but finding only truth that felt too vast to hold at once. "I don't understand," he finally admitted, his voice barely more than breath. Michael's expression did not change, but the silence around them seemed to become kinder. "You don't need to understand all of it now," he replied. "Some truths are planted long before they are ready to bloom." Then he spoke of the boy's path, not as comfort, but as clarity, a life that would not unfold easily, a journey where his words would matter more than he would yet realize, where his presence would stir something in others that they could not easily explain. "You will carry light in places that have learned to fear it," Michael said, "and still you will walk forward." The boy's eyes glistened as he thought of his mother. "What about her?" he asked. "She cries because of me." The archangel turned his gaze gently toward the unseen distance, as if he could feel every tear already fallen. "She does not cry because of you," he said softly. "She cries because something in her remembers where peace once lived." He reached out and gently touched the boy's forehead, as if sealing the moment not in memory alone but somewhere deeper, where forgetting would be difficult. "When you speak, let healing be what follows your voice," he said. "When you walk, let others find their direction again, and when you fall, do not mistake it for ending." The light around him began to thin, the river returning to its restless rhythm as the vision softened. Elie stood there changed, breathless, before turning and running home calling for his mother. His mother turned, fear and awe in her eyes. "An angel?" He nodded eagerly. "He told me my name, Elie, and that I was sent to heal." The mother fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. My God, you turned my shame into purpose." From that day onward, she stopped hiding. She told her story publicly, not with pride, but with humility and hope. She would stand in the temple and say, "I was once broken, I was once lost, but look what God can do when you surrender your pain." And people began to listen. Those who once whispered behind her back now came forward with their own secrets, their own sins, their own griefs, and she told them, "If God could forgive me, He can forgive you too." Elie, meanwhile, grew into a man of deep wisdom. He could sense when someone was about to give up on life. He could see pain even when it was hidden behind a smile, and when he prayed for others, miracles happened, quietly, beautifully, without spectacle. A blind man once touched his hand and saw again. A grieving widow dreamt of her husband smiling in heaven the night after Elie prayed for her. But Elie never took credit. He always said, "It's not me, it's the light within me. My child, this is what God does. He turns the rejected into redeemers, the fallen into healers, the forgotten into chosen ones." One day, as Elie sat under an old olive tree, his mother came beside him. Her hair had turned silver, her hands wrinkled with time, but her eyes were peaceful. "My son," she said softly, "do you ever wonder why your life began in pain?" He smiled and looked at the sky. "Yes, Mama, but now I know, because light needs darkness to be seen." Tears filled her eyes. "You've become everything I prayed you'd be." And that night, as the stars watched over them, Archangel Michael appeared one final time. But this time, he came not in fire, but in gentle light. He looked upon them both, the woman who fell and the child who rose, and said, "The cycle is complete. Grace has fulfilled its promise." In the unfolding of that vision, Elie stood quietly as the words were spoken over him, not as a title he had earned through ambition, but as a responsibility placed upon him through mercy. He was called the guardian of compassion, not because he was flawless, but because he had understood what it meant to be broken and still continue forward. In that moment, the weight of judgment he once carried began to shift into something else entirely, something steadier and more meaningful than reputation or recognition. The voice that spoke to him did not promise comfort in the way people usually expect comfort, but instead offered purpose, a direction that would outlive his own lifetime. "Wote the world will forget your name," the message seemed to say, "but what you carry will not be forgotten where it matters most." And as those words settled into his spirit, the presence that had guided him began to fade, leaving behind a single sign of remembrance. A golden feather fell gently into his hands, not as a decoration or mystery to be solved, but as a symbol of protection and continued guidance through everything that would come after. It was not meant to prove something to others, but to anchor something within him. From that day forward, Elie no longer saw his life as something random or discarded, but as something shaped through both pain and grace. The moments that once felt like failure began to feel like preparation, as if every hardship had been quietly forming the foundation of a deeper understanding. He carried that sense of calling not as superiority, but as humility, knowing that compassion is not a position above others, but a willingness to stand with them in their most fragile places. Even when life moved on and silence returned, the meaning of that encounter stayed with him, shaping how he saw every person he met, especially those the world was quick to dismiss.